everyone, and welcome to the 518 Fashion Happening Show, where we're highlighting faculty and alumni from the Fashion Edition Institute. I'm your host, Milan Lewis. Some of you may know me by my brand, Alexandra Milan Co., where I am a fashion film director and editorial model. I also work with the Fashion Edition Institute as a fashion consultant. And I'm super excited to announce tonight's guest, Ms. Fatima Bey. Hello. So if you could please just introduce yourself, tell us what's your name, your professional title, and what do you help fashion and creative professionals do?
Well, as you said, my name is Fatima Bey, and I am a professional seamstress, dressmaker, designer, and sewing instructor. I am also a motivational teacher known as the Mind Shifter. I am part of this program. I'm here to help students realize, I'm a part of it anyway, helping them to realize their dream and helping them to make it actually happen and to obtain the tools that they need to get there, whether it be someone who's looking to be a designer, someone who's looking to be a model. There are many, many different positions, within this program that we all work together to help.
Awesome. Thank you for telling us that. I think you touched on a good point of you help them with the tools that they'll need to be able to go forward. I think that's something that's really huge, those building blocks and that foundation. So what content or topics will you cover and skills will you be teaching students during the Fashion Edition Institute?
Well, I run a portion of it that's called Upcycle Goes Glam, which is kind of like a Project Runway is the best way I can compare it with.
Okay.
And the students always say it's the most fun part. I'm a little animated myself. I have a sense of humor. I'm a little crazy. So that I make it fun for everyone. But what I do is I help them to think differently. So Upcycle Goes Glam, what we do is, like I said, it's kind of like a Project Runway. So we do it a little differently every year because of the fact that we tailor it to the students that we have. And we don't always have the students in the same, looking to do the same thing or the same position. So it's a little bit different, but generally speaking, what we do is we give the students a bunch of clothes, and how we go about that differs every year, but we give them clothes, and then we give them a image or a theme that they have to fulfill on a model and let them go at it. So we usually have sewers there who can sew pieces together, rip things apart, and just allow them to use their creativity at the same time, making them use their skills where they can work together with people. Sorry, the word escaped me just now. But, the skills to work together with people and all these different things that you're going to need out in the world, no matter what your position is. What I like is that Upcycle Goes Glam really kind of works on almost every aspect of your character that is required to be successful in any field. Yeah. And I love, 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 love being a part of that. And so I do apply some pressure to them. I play tricks on them, add some stress just so that they can see how to handle it, but not going too far. But I love doing that because it helps. We need that in order to, go wherever we're going to go. Yeah. And again, I don't care what your mode is. You could be a buyer. You're still going to have to deal with other people's demands. You're still going to have to deal with how to problem solve with circumstances that are tight. Yeah. So what we do is we create circumstances that are tight and make them problem solve. Yeah. And I love that.
And that's so awesome. When we did the Upcycle Goes Glam, unfortunately, you weren't able to be in ours, but it was just such an experience of being there and like you said, having to work with a team and having to figure out how do we navigate that over Zoom, let alone, and just trying to figure out what kind of look are we going for? How are we going to actualize this? So like you said, it touches on so many different aspects of just being an entrepreneur, being in the workforce versus just, fashion. So I think that's really awesome. And kind of continuing with that question, how have you helped students through the Fashion Edition Institute better their understanding of design and the application process?
Well, that's actually one of my favorite parts. One thing I do as the Mind Shifter, I'm called the Mind Shifter because I help people to shift their thinking. And it's a skill that I've been using in every everything I do. So I use it in the fashion edition as well. So they have these clothes, and now they have to think differently to get things done. And then I will usually we'll have a plan together that we'll all agree on, or that they're told we have to do this by this time, X, Y, Z, whatever the details are. And then I will throw a wrench in that plan, because that's real life, and you have to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to shift your thinking and think outside the box to solve the current problem. Yeah. So we create a situation, and then I usually will try to create a problem. Sometimes the situation just by itself is a challenge, but then do something to make them sort of shift their way of thinking. So no matter what their position is, with Upcycle Goes Glam, they get the opportunity to think differently. So, and I will tailor it, and I mean tailor it to the students. So if I know that you need to work on speaking up, I'm going to make you have to speak up. Whatever, and if that's not an issue, then I'm not going to poke you there. I'm going to poke you somewhere else. So for me, we really do tailor it, and Carmen and I have had a lot of conversations about how we're going to do it every year, and it's always different. And I make it a point to make sure that I'm poking on what you need to work on, because it doesn't make any sense for me to have you poke on, to push you on communication skills when you're excellent at it. That's not really helping you, because the goal is to help you. And so in order to help you, I need to help you in what you need to work on. So that is one of the ways that I'm able to help students, is recognizing what their needs are, what their weaknesses are, what they need to work on, and then focusing on that for each student. So that's why I'm not the same across the board for each student, because each student doesn't need the same thing. And we want to be useful and not just say I did it. That's like, I don't need to waste my time for that. I want to help the students to actually accomplish their goals, which means working on what they need to work on.
Absolutely. And I think that really also speaks to what a incredibly tailored, like you said, I love that you used the word tailored, but a tailored experience for each student. And like you're saying, going through what is a weakness for you, and how can we make that stronger? And that kind of being the goal with whatever it is, even if it's, just going through the program, or, doing the Upcycle Goes Glam specifically. So I think that's really awesome. Now, continuing on, why did you say yes to being a faculty member for the Fashion Edition Institute in the first place?
Well, first of all, for the audience, I will speak to you for a moment. This program has, oh my God, it has evolved so much since it first started. It's difficult to actually even put into words. It's nothing like when it first started. And I was pretty much there the second year. The first year was just getting the concept ready. And I've been there since. And I'm very proud to be a part of this program. I genuinely am. And I'm grateful to Carmen for having gotten it started. But the reason I say yes to this program is because I am passionate in all areas and all facets of life. I'm passionate about helping young women and children. And this helps not necessarily women, because half of the students have been male, but this helps youth get into what they want to do. And as an entrepreneur myself, I want to help other people get into their entrepreneurial niche, whatever that is. But more so importantly, I love being able to help people realize, or at least being a part of someone accomplishing whatever their dream and their goal is. I'm all about lifting others up, and in a real way, not lifting you up to be over here when you should be over here. So if you're over here, then I'm gonna help you get over there if that's where you're supposed to be. So I'm not one of these people who's just like, oh yes, whatever you say. No. Whatever your dreams, your goal is, and you really want to be a designer, and I see you have the skill for it. Skill is good, but it's only 50% of what you need. And people don't realize that. You need discipline, you need education, you need other things besides skill. And you also have to work on that skill. So I just love being a part of this program, because I love being a part of making other people's dreams come true. That is very fulfilling for me. I will tell you, I say no to a lot of stuff. I know, seriously, I say no. People ask me to do all kinds of things, and I say no a lot. It's because I'm particular about what I say yes to. It's not because the other things are bad. It's because I'm very particular about what I say yes to. If I don't believe in it, you could be Oprah and offer me $1 million, and I will still say no, and I am dead serious. there's no point in doing something I don't believe in. I'm too honest anyway.
Yeah.
I'm very direct, very honest. I just, but I believe in this program. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate this year. It was planned, but COVID, tore all that up. But I'll be back again next year, which is, why we're talking now. But for me, it's very, very, very fulfilling to be a part of making a true difference in lives by making a difference in their career.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful thing, honestly, when it's not, just about like, oh, it's fulfilling me or whatever, and that's great, but it's like then you're like seeing the actualization of it happening. Like you told me before, like you still have students that are coming up and talking to you and like reaching out to you, and like it's like a chain effect that is like long term. It's not just a short term thing.
Yes.
So it's really beautiful. And so why should local early to mid-career fashion professionals apply to this program? Ooh, my hair. Y'all. And what will they get out of participating?
Well, I wouldn't be a part of this program if I didn't believe in it. As I stated before, I do believe that this program is very helpful. And if you have the skill, you have the skill and the will, that is awesome. But you still need the tools. You still need the tools. You still need to know the know-how. You still need to understand some things, because skill and will is good and it will take you far, but it's not enough. You need the tools that this program offers you. And what I like is that we have something here that you would have to go to New York City. You'd have to go out of state to really get.
Yeah.
And we have something here that is really just building up and going to be huge. It already is big, but it's really going to be huge because it just keeps getting bigger and better every year. It's developing. It's really developing beautifully. But if for the people that want to be part of this program, they should. If they're serious and they have drive and they just need that extra push, that extra information, that extra help to get to where they want to go in the fashion industry, then this is the program for them.
Yeah.
If you just want everything to be handed to you on a silver platter and you want to sit on your butt and watch stuff and expect things to happen, please stay home. This ain't for you.
This is not for you.
But people who come to this program, usually that's not the case. That they're here because they understand that they need to get some assistance without going through 14 years of FIT and going away and spending $1 bajillion. So you can get a lot of that here. And there are many other advisors besides me who we all offer something different. And some of the other advisors are amazing, that are in this program and really offer a lot of useful information. And for the students, it's really up to them to take advantage of this program. They have to take advantage of it. If you don't, then it's a whole lot of wasted time and money. I don't see the point if you're not going to really go all the way with it. But for students to come into this program, they really need to have skill, drive, and drive and determination, I would say, and willingness.
Yes.
Willingness, and what I mean, willingness is one simple word, but I'm really housing a lot of things under it. I mean, be humble. Be willing to be corrected. Be willing to learn. Be willing to be told you're not doing this right. Be willing to have your pride poked at, because it might get poked at. I know everything because I'm good. I just got this. Okay, and that's what a lot of failures said before they started failing. The people who succeed, they stop for a moment and they listen and they take in the information. And so I would say that those are the three main things that you kind of need to have coming in.
Absolutely. I'm really glad that you touched on willingness, because I think that was a big thing. I mean, for me, I try and go into situations, especially when I was doing the Fashion Edition Institute, with like a humble spirit, because it's like, there are certain things that I know, like you said, you might have the skills, you might have some of the discipline, but there's such a wealth of knowledge that the faculty and advisors are going to pour into you. So you have to be open, to like taking advice, sometimes taking helpful criticism, which is like, it's a necessity, for
Absolutely.
growth.
But I want to add to that, because I don't want to make it seem like we just beat people up, because that's not true. I have never seen more support and encouragement from any program than I've seen from this.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that. The staff here are genuinely supportive. None of us are here because someone said, we need somebody, will you do this? We're all here because we want to be here.
Yeah.
Every single faculty member is here because we actually want to be a part of the program. So that matters, because that means that we're not here to just like throw stuff at you and walk away. We're going to correct you, but we're going to encourage the hell out of you too.
Yeah.
And that's important, and they will definitely get that here.
Absolutely, yeah. You're getting a curated experience, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, it's worth it. All right, so we're going to go on to some questions that kind of talk about the fashion industry. So what's the culture of the local fashion industry around the Capital District? What do you feel is the culture?
You know what I love? I love to answer this question because I wouldn't have given the same answer 4 years ago. But it's growing. It's growing tremendously. And I can honestly say this program is a large part of it. This program and those connected to this program are a large part of it, because this program started a few years ago, but it has branched off many other facets of the local fashion community, or has touched many of the local fashion community. It's amazing. If I have to give the local fashion culture one word, it would be growth. I would say growing. Let me correct myself. Growing. It's growing tremendously. People are now actually realizing, oh, wait a minute, fashion can happen here in the Capital Region. We don't have to go to New York City for it. And years ago, I remember Carmen saying that, and that was part of the vision, and that's part of what kept me on. But now we're actually seeing people say it. And it's a beautiful thing to watch and manifest.
Absolutely.
It excites me.
Yeah, no, the actualization of it is super exciting. Because, I mean, I was in this boat for a while of thinking, like a lot of people think, there is no fashion up in, you know, like upstate New York. Like, what, I need to go to the city, you know. But, like, honestly, the fashion edition opened up so many doors, connections for me. And just kind of like, before I even got into the program, I knew people who were in the program. And I did a photo shoot for, you know, the Fashion Edition Institute, and it just, all of that and knowing those people and hearing their experiences, it just made me realize, like, wow, this is such an amazing opportunity. This is a chance to be able to grow within the fashion industry that is up here, you know, and help that industry expand, you know, because I truly believe I and like a lot of other entrepreneurs out there, we have things to give to the fashion community. We are going to be the reason why it expands. So if you're thinking like, well, it's not out there, are you, you know, feeding into it? Are you like doing things that are going to help expand the fashion community as well? Because this is an opportunity to be able to do that.
And I love that this program, it gives people, kind of go back to the question you just asked me, but it gives people hope.
Yeah.
Everything you just said about, you know, the fact that this program is giving you opportunity, it gives people hope who don't realize that you can make fashion happen up here, because we have people actually going on camera and telling you this has happened for me. And others who aren't on camera right now who it's happened for. And I just love the encouragement that this entire thing offers for people.
Absolutely. So what are your hopes for the future of the Capital Region fashion industry and community? So I know you said that it's growing as it is now, but as it goes forward, what are you hoping to see?
Oh, well, I'm excited to answer that too. I hope to see everything continue to grow as it's been continuing to grow, but continuing to manifest bigger fashion shows. We've already had a couple fashion shows in the past 3 years that we never had here before. We never had big, big scale fashion shows happen here in the Capital Region as they've happened in the past few years. We've had things, but not like we've had in the past few years. And I want to see more of that. Eventually, I would like to see the Fashion Edition Institute become bigger and year-round. Something that's not just once a year. That's what and I plan on being a part of that. But to dive a little deeper into that and to go into my industry, I'm a professional seamstress. I didn't say as much as what I do in the beginning, but I'll dive into that now. The reason I got into this program is because I am an award-winning seamstress. I said I'm a dressmaker. I specialize in wedding gowns. And I have won both national and international awards for my wedding gown sewing. I've been on TV, I've been the subject of articles on the cover of a magazine, all kinds of different things related to my sewing and the things that I do around it. Part of the reason my passion, I think I mentioned in the beginning that I teach sewing at 2 local colleges. part of my passion for doing what I do, as far as being a professional seamstress and a teacher, is because I want to see more people like me. I want to create more people. Like some people, like, I don't want any competition. I want to be the only one in my field because I want to be great. Well, I already have that right now. Honestly, I don't have a lot of competition. I don't like that. I want to create future sewers. The problem in America, and I'm speaking specifically about America because this isn't true in other countries, we don't have sewers like we used to. Our grandparents' generation used to have all kinds of sewers in them, and it was commonplace. But now to find someone with my skill set is rare. I'm not the only one, but there's not a lot of us around. And I don't like that. I want to create the next generation of sewers. So with this dream of creating a fashion industry for the capital region and being a fashion destination, I also want it to be a sewing destination because they go hand in hand. When you go to these schools like FIT, for example, and there's not just FIT, I'm just using that example, their schooling, and I know this for a fact because I researched it and talked to people and hired people, their focus is not on sewing. They do teach some sewing. They teach pattern, designing and making all that. But the sewing is not a focus. Designing is a focus because you have people overseas to do the sewing for you. Because the whole industry has changed over the past, 50 years, but really in the past 30 years. And we don't have sewers like we used to. And I want to change that because we're in trouble. In the next few years, you're going to need alterations on your wedding gown. And even right now, bridal shops are sending you somewhere else because they don't have the sewers to do them. They don't have enough sewers to do them. Yeah. So that's a problem for me. So I right now I want to solve a future problem, current but future problem as well. And so as part of making the fashion industry a focus here, I also want to have a school for sewing.
Okay.
A whole school for sewing. Yep. A whole school for sewing. And specialize in wedding gowns because there's very, 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 very almost no one teaching specifically wedding gown sewing. Okay. And that is something that will never ever not be needed.
Yeah, exactly.
But yet the people who can do it, who are all over 60 and retiring, from not all but mostly over 60 and retiring, most of them in their 80s, they can't do it anymore because their generation is retiring. And so I want to create that next generation. So that is a part of, I'm publicly saying it now, that's a large part of my vision in doing this as well.
Awesome. Wow, that is really awesome, wanting to especially be able to create that school for sewing. As you were speaking, it was bringing me back to my childhood. I used to take sewing lessons and like hand embroidery lessons and everything, and I feel like I didn't really realize what a beautiful art it was until I got older. And then I realized, like you're saying, like a lot of people don't know how to do that. Like I would say, oh yeah, I used to, sew. I made my first dress, my first bag, and people were like, what? Like, yeah, you made stuff, And
if I showed you the first bag I ever made, you might not think I was a seamstress.
But yeah, so that's really awesome. Wow. I would love to see a sewing school in the capital region. I just also want to open the floor to any questions from the audience.
Yes, so we have a question from the audience. Fatima, can you, number one, talk about how you build your business? And number two, can you talk about the importance of business development for a fashion business? A lot of people have skill and talent, but don't understand the business knowledge, which is something we talk about in the program. So can you talk about how you built your business and the importance of business development for people who have skills and talent, but not the business knowledge?
Yes. I built my business unconventionally. I have been able to sew for a long time, but I basically started this business because I needed to make money and I had a skill, and so I said, okay, I'm going to use it to make money. It's really that simple. It really is that simple. Now, I didn't go into my background as much, but I used to be the alteration manager at David's Bridal, and I was there for like 10 years. That's why I do what I do now, why I can do what I do now, because that was basically my university of sewing. And I feel like I have a PhD in sewing now I got my master's at David's. So, my PhD on my own. If those existed, I really would have one. But I got my business started out of necessity. I started off in my bedroom, and then I went into a house in Scotia, and the garage was converted for me into a shop, and that was my first real shop. And that was a big deal for me because I was working out of an attic in my house, having people stand on the stairs leading up to the attic because I had a little platform, and I was doing fittings on them. Oh yeah, and I was working out of my bedroom. You talk about grassroots beginning, that was me. And what was the other question? The importance of
the business knowledge.
Yes. So, the business knowledge end of it, I will say, is extremely important. I started off grassroots because I had to. I didn't have now, I had some business knowledge because retail management was my background, and I ran a multi-million-dollar business over at David's Bridal for years. And that taught me. But I will say, if I hadn't done that, I would have needed some schooling to get to where I got to. My schooling came in the form of work. I got paid to learn. That's the way I see it. Mm-hmm. But I think it's extremely important because I don't care how much skill you have. I'm a good seamstress and I'm a good sewer and I have that skill, yes. But if you don't have much business knowledge, you can only get but so far. And let me tell you, even some of the famous singers that you see took voice lessons. Even some of the famous, people, I like to use singer as an example. Mariah Carey, let's say, because we all know that woman can sing, okay? Voice lessons. Just because you have a skill, that's great, but you have to develop that skill. And you also have to work in a business world. You can't just get on stage and sing. They're going to rip all your money out your pockets. We all know some famous people that happen to. But if you want to be successful, you need to have a business manager to manage you while you're singing, okay? I just use the singing as an example. But in your own world, fashion world, you absolutely have to have knowledge because you can learn without the education, but you're going to learn the hard way. Some of the stuff that I know now, I wish I had knew before I started. I wouldn't have made some of the mistakes that I made. But I think it's extremely important that you get that education to go with it. It'll just, why wait, why stand in front of a car to get hit to realize that it hurts and you have to wait for your leg to heal when someone could tell you a car's coming in the first place and you not be there. Get an education, don't get hit by a car.
You heard it here.
Did I answer that question well enough? Okay.
Oh, we have another question from the audience. Awesome.
So another question from our audience is, Fatima, what type of fashion professionals do you see and work with in the local fashion scene?
Believe it or not, I don't work with the sewers that people think I do. I end up working a lot with designers. Something that has just always fallen in my lap over the past 5 years, quite a bit, are local people that want to start a fashion line. I get a lot of them. Even before I started Fashion Edition, I would get people that I want to start a line of jeans. I want to start a line of whatever it is. And they would just end up in my lap. Somehow, some way, somebody would recommend my name to them, and they would end up in my lap. I would say out of the whole entire fashion industry locally, the most that I've worked with is actually new designers. That's a good question.
Awesome. And then another question that we have is actually for Milan.
Okay, you guys are switching it up on me.
Milan, what type of commercials do you produce, and can you talk about your process?
Awesome, sure. So typically we're doing fashion commercials. Like I said, I'm a fashion film director, so a lot of it is like lookbooks. We do also do some, like editorial. Oh, actually most of it is editorial. But the process as far as like doing a commercial or let's say a lookbook film or something like that, it's a lot of like storyboarding. So as a director and like a creative director, my company is with my sister, and basically we'll sit down, we'll kind of storyboard what the whole commercial is going to look like. We'll sometimes even draw it out and write out what each shot, each scene is going to look like. And then after that, we kind of go through it. We'll start to shoot the different scenes. A lot of times I'll come up with a song at the beginning as well, something that's going to just drive what the visual will look like and something that's going to like really fit the mood for whatever we're going to be doing. And then from there, we, shoot it typically, and then we'll work with our client, see whatever their vision is as well, try and make sure that we have a combination of those. And then we will edit. My sister's an editor, so she's really great. She's honestly holding it down for us, and she will spend hours upon hours. I have to tell you, I think people don't realize how much editing work it takes to make even like a 30-second commercial. But it's also like a really awesome process. It's something that really excites me. I love coming up with a visual idea, and then from there being able to actualize someone's vision with film. I have that experience and that background from my parents having a video production company, and my mother doing modeling, my dad doing video, and so that just combined, and I was like, I need to be able to do both of those. How can I be able to fit video production with the fashion industry? And so commercials were just like that opportunity, especially with fashion commercials. So that's kind of the process. Hopefully that lays it out very specifically for you guys, and that makes sense.
Because you are an alumni of the Fashion Edition program, Aline, can you actually go into how did you decide that was going to be your focus? And what was the need you saw in the industry in the Capital Region that caused you to say, this is where we're going to focus in my company?
Well, I would have to say, with becoming a fashion film director, that happened at 5 a.m. one morning. I was watching YouTube videos all night, and I was watching fashion films, and it just kind of hit me, because at first I was like, oh, I'll just be a creative director for, shows and whatever it is, but it hit me very directly that no, fashion films is what I want to do. Lookbooks and commercials and all fashion related is what I wanted to do. And then as far as with the Capital Region and seeing that my niche in the industry, I think for me, I just wasn't seeing a lot of content that I wanted to see. I wasn't seeing a ton of it on social media or anything like that. And I saw a little bit here or there, but even the stuff that I'm watching on YouTube and whatnot, a lot of it is coming from either international, or a lot of it was shot in New York City and stuff like that. And I was thinking, we need to have that here. Why not? And I'm not seeing it much, so I might as well do it. I enjoy it. So I think that's what really drew me to doing it, and then kind of showing that vision to my sister, and she was totally down with it. And she was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's make fashion films and commercials.
It's a great example of what she just said. The best businesses, the most successful ones, are filling in the blanks. Mm-hmm. She found a blank spot to fill in.
Yeah. So we do have another question from the audience. There is someone in our audience who actually wants to design swimsuits. And so the question is for Fatima. How would you... what would you recommend for someone who wants to start a swimsuit line? Is that something that you can help with? Can you just talk about that?
I've actually been approached with something very similar before. As I stated earlier, I tend to get a lot of designers that just, people keep recommending them to me. I would say come to the Fashion Edition, because I can help you with the sewing end, but the rest of the advisory staff here will help you with the rest, because you really need more than just me to do something like that. I can help you with knowing what fabrics to get, making recommendations, because there's certain things you do want to use, certain things you don't, that people might not tell you. I can educate you on that end. And yes, you can reach out to me. Facebook would be the best way. I have an email and phone number, but actually Facebook Messenger would be best. But honestly, I think that you need to learn how to do that, and the Fashion Edition is the perfect place for you to do that. So, and I'm not just saying that because I want to push the Fashion Edition. I'm honest, and if something else was the answer, I would still say it here and now anyway. But the Fashion Edition is a good program for that. And like I said, I can help you on the sewing end, the creative end, and knowing the fabrics and the details that go with that. But but that's only like maybe 30% of what you need to know. The other 70% you can get from Fashion Edition.
Awesome. Well, thank you to the audience for all your questions. We really appreciate that. I'm going to actually end this interview with one last question. I want to know, what has been your proudest moment as a faculty member of the Fashion Edition Institute?
I would say it's less of a moment and more of a consistent theme. I am still in connection and contact with some of the students from previous years. Some of the students have become students for me in my studio, where they take private lessons with me. Some of them became, you know, they would come to me just for various different things. Some of them have become customers where I've done some work for them. And some of them have just become, I'm like the big sister or mom, where I'm always giving advice. And you know, I love that. I love relationships, and I like, my main reason I like relationships is I like to help people, and I like to raise people up.
Yeah.
And so I love that I have the opportunity to do that this way. Fashion Edition, just like many of my brides, I have so many brides that are still friends with me to this day, and they follow me on Facebook, and still talk to me. And we have a relationship now, you know, and they were a bride 5 years ago or whenever. But I would say my proudest part of this program is really the relationships that I've built.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a huge and important part, which is that relationship building, that connection building. And like, I truly believe with the relationships that I have built by being in the Fashion Edition industry, and in the Fashion Edition Institute. Y'all bear with me. But it really was so impactful to my life that here I am now working under the Fashion Edition Institute, because it meant so much to me. It really just like kick-started that career for me. So yeah, it's pivotal. It really is, guys. So I just wanted to say to anyone who is between the ages of 18 to 35, if you're a fashion professional or an entrepreneur, the Fashion Edition Institute is for you. This is your opportunity to grow your brand or business and to see real change and growth. You can apply online at matransitionservices.org/fashion edition. And before we go, I just wanted to also say that December 18th is going to be the deadline to be able to apply for the Fashion Edition. So please get those applications in. We're doing group interviews, and we would love to be able to see and talk with you. And one last thing I want to do, I just want to be able to plug Fatima's social media so that we can make sure that everyone's able to get in contact with you. So on Facebook, your name is Fatima Bey, last name B-E-Y, correct? And then on Instagram, it's the same. Her IG handle is fatima.bey_. And then you can also find her online on her website, which is fatimabey.com. Once again, my name is Milan Lewis. You can find me online at Alexandra Milan Co. On Instagram, actually. And then my website is alexandramilan.co. But I want to thank you again so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And being on the show. We're so excited that we got to speak with you. We're so excited for the next season of the Fashion Edition.
So am I.
And for your Upcycle Goes Glam class. So I just want to thank everyone for viewing as well. I hope you all have a wonderful night.